Yesterday I ran a half marathon and today I am definitely feeling it. My muscles are sore, my joints are achy and stiff, and my body feels generally fatigued. But I know I'm not the only one feeling like this. If you've ever run a long distance event and pushed your body to the limit, you know this feeling. So today I want to talk about recovery, specifically what I do in these first 48 hours and what you should be doing to promote tissue healing and get back to training as soon as possible without risking injuries. Hey runners, my name is Alina Kennedy. I'm a physiotherapist and strength and conditioning specialist with Sprint Rehab. In this video, I'm going to talk about what I do on my first and second day after a race and also show you my stretching and foam rolling workout routine. If you want to skip straight to the workout, I'll put a timestamp down at the bottom here. So after I cross the finish line and pick up my medal and get some water, what I like to do is find a spot to sit down and stretch for 10 to 15 minutes. I really like to stretch out my back, my glutes and hamstrings and calves, all of those muscles that have worked extremely hard for the last 13 miles. This initial stretch is really important for me, and I think it really helps to prevent some of that soreness on day one. This isn't anything crazy or excessive, it's just a really light, gentle stretch as my initial recovery. So after I do that and then I get home, the first thing I do is jump in the shower. So I tend to have a warm shower after a half marathon, but you can have an ice bath. So the benefit of an ice bath is it is going to boost your recovery and really speed up that recovery process. And this can be really helpful for anyone that has another race coming up in the near future and needs to get back into training as soon as possible. So you can definitely have an ice bath straight after your half marathon. For me personally, I don't find that this is necessary, so I just have a warm shower. After my shower, I'll then have a light lunch, so nothing excessive, usually just some fruit or a light sandwich. I'm not that hungry initially straight after a run, but I do want to put something in my stomach, so just something light that I can eat quickly after my shower. Again, I'll also drink a lot of water here. So drinking as much water as you can on day one is really important. What I have found is if I don't drink enough towards the end of the day, I'll just end up with a really bad dehydration, headache, and so I really try to drink an excessive amount of water on this first day, and that's water, having some Gatorade, even green tea is really great on this first day. After I have a light snack and some water, if possible, I love to have a quick little power nap. So of course, I am exhausted after my half marathon, and it's usually a day when I wake up really early as well. So being able to lie down for an hour and have a quick snooze really helps me regenerate and have enough energy for the rest of the day. So not sleeping for too long, I usually keep it to about an hour, because if I sleep for longer, then I just end up groggy and tired. So just a quick power nap for an hour, and then I get up and I make sure to stay active for the rest of the day. I think the best way for you to recover after a race is to stay as active as possible. You'll want to just sit on the couch and veg out for the rest of the day, but this isn't going to really help your muscles recover. So having a quick power nap and then getting up and going for a walk is the best thing that you can do. So I'll usually go for a 30-40 minute walk around my neighborhood just with some comfortable shoes to get my legs moving. Once I come back from my walk, I try to stay as active as I can for the rest of the day. Of course, not doing anything crazy, but also trying to avoid just sitting on the couch all afternoon. Then I have some dinner, and again, sometimes my stomach is a little bit funny after a long race like that, so making sure I'm eating something healthy at the end of the day or after this race is really important for me. And lastly, I make sure I go to bed early. Getting a good night's sleep after a half marathon is super important, so making sure that you have 8 to 10 hours sleep after a run can really help speed up your recovery and make sure you heal as quickly as possible. So that is what happens on day one. On day 2, this is when you wake up with those sore, stiff muscles. So the first thing I like to do on day 2 is go for a walk. Now I have a little puppy, so I take him out for a 30-40 minute walk around the neighborhood, and this really helps with my body just to get it moving and freed up a little bit first thing in the morning. Then on day 2, if possible, I also really like to get a gentle sports massage. Now, this can be a little bit controversial. I know a lot of runners that avoid sports massages for the first few days. The key with getting a sports massage on day 2 is making sure that it's light and gentle. What you don't want is a massage therapist that's really going to dig into your muscles, because this can cause more trauma and inflammation, which is what you want to avoid at this early stage of your recovery. But what I've found is having a light, gentle massage, especially one that really focuses on lymphatic drainage, so getting rid of some of that inflammation and fluid and swelling, can really help with your recovery. So if you have a massage therapist that you are comfortable with and you know won't go too heavy or too deep on that massage, that is something that I've found really helps with my recovery on day 2. So a light, gentle massage. And then the other thing that is really important on day 2 is doing a stretching and foam rolling recovery session. So let me show you what I do with my recovery workout. Alright, we're going to start on the floor with some back extensions. So lying on your tummy with your hands underneath your shoulders, you're gently going to press yourself up, going up into a full arch, extending your lower back. Make sure as you arch up, you're not hitching your shoulders up, so your shoulders should be away from your ears, nice and relaxed. Make sure you're breathing comfortably. And we're going to go for 5 slow reps of this one. Next, moving on to a child's pose stretch. So sit back onto your heels as far as you can, and then lean forward, stretching your arms out and dropping your chest down towards the floor. You're going to hold this for 30 seconds, breathing comfortably. And then next, moving on to a cat-cow stretch. So here we're going from an arched back through to a hitched up back. So you're going to start in an all fours position and then just gently move your back from up into a high arch, down into a low arch. Again, make sure your shoulders are away from your ears and you're breathing comfortably. From there, you're going into a lunging stretch and then into a hamstring stretch. So start in a lunge and you're going to lean forward and then lean back. So stay on the same leg and just go from that forward position all the way back into a hamstring stretch position. And you're slowly going to work through this movement for 10 reps on each leg. From here, we're going to go into a pigeon stretch. So on that same leg that you were doing the lunging stretch, you're going to bring your leg forward, sit back onto your hip, keep your knee at a 90-degree angle, and you're going to lean forward towards your front foot and then lean back. So we're just oscillating between that movement, not holding the stretch, but rather going backwards and forwards, getting a good stretch for 10 reps. And then you're just going to repeat those 2 stretches on the other side. So your forward and backwards lunging and hamstring stretch, as well as your pigeon stretch. Then from there, we're going to go into a back leaning stretch. So facing forward, you're going to tuck one foot in, the other leg is straight out, and you're going to grab onto your toes on your stretched out leg and then lean your body towards that leg. You can either hold this position, or if you want a deeper stretch, you can actually bring your other arm up and around, reaching for your toes, and hold on to either your toes or your wrist on your stretched side. And again, just holding this position for 30 seconds, breathing comfortably. You're going to repeat this on both sides. Next, grab your trusty foam roller and we're going to start rolling out our muscles, starting with our calves. So place the foam roller under one calf and you're going to put as much weight onto that roller as you can. So if you can, lift your hips off the floor and put your weight onto the roller. If not, keep your hips down. And you can place your other foot on top of your shin just to apply a bit more pressure on the calf if you want to. So just working through either all of your calf going up and down or finding certain spots and focusing on them for 60 seconds on each side. Moving on to your hamstrings. So just like you were rolling out your calves, you're going to do the same thing with your hamstrings. So either rolling up and down your entire hamstring, or focusing on specific points that you find are sore and tight. And again, we're doing this for 60 seconds on each side. Working further up now into our glutes. So all around your hips and your buttocks muscles, we're now sitting on the foam roller and rolling just up and down those small muscles. And again, you can go forwards and backwards as well as side to side on this one. And if you find particularly tight spots, focus in on them, but make sure you're breathing comfortably and it shouldn't be too painful. So you're going for 60 seconds again with this one on each leg. Then we're going to go through our upper back. So you would be surprised how tight your back gets after running a half marathon. So we're slowly going to use the foam roller just for some back extensions. So place the foam roller on the ground at about your mid back, keep your hips down, and we're just slowly going to work through our upper back, extending our back over the foam roller for 60 seconds. And lastly, going on to our quad muscles. So those muscles right at the front of your thigh that get extremely tight after a long distance run. So this will be really great for your recovery. Now you're lying forwards on the foam roller and just putting as much pressure over it as you can, finding sore spots and just slowly working through them for 60 seconds on each side. And that is an overview of the recovery workout.
So that's an overview of how I do my stretching and foam rolling on day 2 after a half marathon. Then the next question is, when do I start running and training properly? I'll usually go out for a gentle, short run about 3 or 4 days after the race. So I know that there are people who like to do a recovery run the day after a race. I personally don't find that this helps me recover, and I think that you have an increased risk of injury this early on after a long race. So I would definitely recommend waiting 3 or 4 days before you go out for a run. Of course, everybody is a little bit different. So if you have found that going for a light recovery run works for you, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you've never tried it out, I wouldn't recommend doing it because the risk of injury is quite high. So I usually wait 3 or 4 days, and for that run, I keep it pretty light and short just to restart that training, but not pushing my body. I'll also get back into the gym about 3 or 4 days later. I always work out in the gym or at home doing some sort of strength training about 2 or 3 times a week along with my running training. And I find that this not only makes me a better runner, but it also helps me prevent injuries. So this is a really crucial part of my training that I will also restart 3 or 4 days after my race. So I hope that gives you a good overview of what my recovery looks like in the days following a half marathon. And if you have any questions, please leave it down in the comment section below and I'll be sure to answer you. Thanks again for watching. My name is Alina Kennedy and I'll see you in the next video.